In this video, I'm going to talk about measures of variation, spread, particularly the range. And there are three types of variation and spread, and those are the range, standard deviation, and quartiles. And these are a nice complement to the measures of central tendency, so the mean, median, mode, and mid-range that we talked about in previous videos. Sometimes those measures of central tendency don't give us a good enough picture, though, of our data set, and so we want to look at the variation or the spread. And so let's first start by talking about the range. So the range of the data set is just the difference between the maximum and minimum values in the set. So this is the simplest, the easiest way to find variation and spread out of the three. So we're just going to subtract. So in this first example, we're looking at the list of tornadoes in Michigan from 2014 to 2021. And we're just going to find the minimum value, which in this case looks like it's 3, and the max, which looks like it's 18, and we're just going to subtract. And so we say the range of values is 15 because they range from 3 to 18. Okay, so let's look at this next example. This is one of my favorites because we can really see how range can be helpful in describing a data set. And so we're going to look at all of these sections, consider these class sections, so different classes, and these are all the quiz scores for those classes. So we're going to find the mean, median, and range for each. So for section A, I'm going to find the mean, and I'm going to add all these up and divide by the total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 10 5s. So if I add those all up, I get 50. And if I divide by 10, then the mean is 5. And I could have just seen that just by looking at the list because the only value that's there is 5. So the mean is going to be 5. And then for the median, I find the very center, and I could, in this case, it's going to be a tie, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so it's in between, but since these are both 5, the median is going to be 5, and then the mode is going to be 5. And so you can see, okay, well, all of these measures of central tendency are the exact same, and so it would be really helpful to have another way to describe this data. And so I'm going to list the range. Oh, and I'm just noticing here it didn't ask for the mode, but that's okay. We put it anyway. So for the range, we're just going to take the lowest minus the highest. Well, the lowest is 5, the highest is 5, so the range is 0. So because they're all the same data value. So this right here tells us a lot more than just seeing the mean, median, and mode. Okay, so for section B, let's look at the mean. So if we add those all up, so if we add up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, okay, so if we take 50 and divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, if we divide by 10, we get a mean of 5. And then for the median, if we look at the center, which looks like it's about right here, so we've got 5 on the right and 5 on the left, it's in between 0 and 10. So if I add 0 plus 10 and divide by 2 to find the middle, I get 5. And then, so look at the difference between section A and section B. They have the same means, they have the same medians. So if we're comparing these two classes just using that information, you might say, oh, they did the exact same. But you can see by the data sets that they did not do the exact same. And so it's helpful to find the range. So here we're going to find the max, which is 10, minus the min, which is 0. So the range is 10. And now let's look at section B. Or I'm sorry, section C. So if we look at section C, we've got for mean, if we add all those up, we end up getting 50. Divided by 10, we get a mean of 5 again. For the median, if I find the very middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's in between the two 5s. If I add those up and divide by 2, I end up getting 5 for the middle. So again, I've got a mean and median that are the exact same as sections A and B. So it's helpful to find the range. So I'm going to take the the high, 6, minus the low of 4 and get 2. So I have the exact same mean and median for all three sections, but I have different ranges. So I have a range of 0, I have a range of 10, and I have a range of 2. And basically what this shows me is that my class A, my section A, those students all scored the same. They're all on the same page. in terms of their level of understanding. Section B, those students had the biggest range. So that means had, different, the scores differed more than any other section. And then section C, a range of 2 means I would say those students did similarly to one another. And you can see that we've got 4, 5, and 6. So those scores were closer together than in section B, where they were spread farther apart. So that range really describes the spread of the data, where the mean and the median don't. So one last example with range. Suppose we have the following salaries at a company. Is there an outlier? And then which data value, and then what is the range? So outlier, you want to look at the data value and ask yourself, okay, are there any salaries that look like they're not typical? They're outside of what I see here. And I would look at this list and say, you know what, I think 230,000 is an outlier because all of the other salaries were in the 40s. So I'm going to say yes. 230,000 would be the outlier. And then for the range, I'm just going to take the high minus the low, or the max minus the min. So the highest salary was 230,000, and it looks like the lowest is 44. So I'm going to subtract 230 minus 44 and get $186,000. And you know what, that's a pretty significant number, because what this shows, you've got most people making around the same amount of money, but because we have this outlier, it shows us in this range that there's just a really big spread in salaries. So if I made in the 40s and I worked at this company, this would tell me, okay, I have colleagues who make a lot more money than I do. And so, maybe there's an opportunity to make more myself. And so this value, it definitely does a decent job at describing how spread out those salaries are.